even kind of shields her as the kid goes. He sits down in the chair directly in. She sits and cries. She says, "You need to call my wife. You need to get my kids here now. You ruined my life."
This is Susan Bassey, and as we close out the year and move into a new year, we're prepared to do our most important reporting ever. We've reviewed thousands of hours of body cam footage. We've reviewed the court documents and sat through hundreds of court hearings. And now we're going to be reporting on a federal lawsuit, a lawsuit that arises out of a divorce case, winds through a criminal case, and now is in federal court. And in federal court, in addition to addressing underlying civil rights violations, the case poses the question of whether or not the government, meaning family court judges, can issue orders that require parents to pay to see their children.
Kid, he's here for therapy. He comes early to a thing. There's the 15-year-old. We're still, sounds like she's with stepdad. We can't.
She's safe. We just don't know where she is.
Yeah.
She's here for therapy?
Yes.
Yeah. Points at her.
Unrelated to him.
Correct.
Unrelated.
This case involves attorneys the court appointed for children pushing their weight around. It involves some pig art, some prosecutors who are engaged in misconduct, and ineffective assistance of counsel by a public defender. And we're going to take you through the issues that are political and also that are related to free speech, because chilling speech is perhaps one of the most dangerous things that we can do, whether it's inside or outside of our courthouses.
And said, "Get out." So,
15-year-old, do you know him?
Yeah, he's my client,
yeah.
but I'm worried about my other client.
Yeah.
What's her
What
name?
she look like?
These are the offices of a reunification therapist in Campbell, California. And you've seen these offices before when we've been here with Mark the process server. This video was taken in 2024. The body cam footage was taken 2 years earlier in 2022. And you'll notice the door was not locked, and there is this little camera sitting there. But other than that, nothing has much changed in this office. An office that was the scene of a crime just a few years earlier. A crime that affected multiple families and involved a 15-year-old girl. But the reunification therapist, who is charging parents $300 an hour or more in order to see their own children in connection with a divorce or a custody case, hasn't beefed up the security in her office since 2022.
Hello? Hello?
Hello? Yes.
Miss Clark?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Services. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
The therapist told her to leave, which she did.
California law, Family Code Section 3190, allows a family court judge to appoint a therapist in a divorce or a custody case. But the catch is that therapist can only act in the case for a year if they're made by a court appointment. And a court appointment would provide a therapist immunity, just like judges and police officers have. But there's a loophole, and the loophole is that when lawyers can convince the parents to agree to use the therapist or stipulate to use the therapist, then the therapist doesn't need to get out of the case, and they can remain in billing and billing along with the lawyers for several years. And that's what happened in this case. A father had been being billed for reunification therapy to see his children after a restraining order had stripped him of custody that he had enjoyed for nearly a decade following his divorce.
Is it loaded?
Yeah.
I saw him put the bullets back in.
Yeah, there was one in there.
Before we get into the police reports, how the police officers testified in court, we're going to go over the divorce cases underlying this incident, because in those cases, there were similar patterns where lawyers were taking advantage of every dime they could get out of the parents in order to keep billing and billing and keep the reunification therapists inciting the conflict. There were professionally supervised visitation, which we've written about in the Davis Vanguard, and I'll put a link down below. And there were a number of court hearings and continuances, and this went on for nearly 3 years as the father stayed separated from his children. And when parents and children are separated from one another, it breaks their bonds, it breaks their ability to see and speak with each other, and it makes lawyers a great deal of money. And it also has issues related to public safety, because you just might have your children in this therapist's office when one of the parents who's been on supervised visits or reunification therapy unsuccessfully for 3 years might come into that office when your child is in court-ordered therapy.
So, she erased, she left. But
It's not going through. Are they able to call her and...
yeah, so here's the police. Yeah.
While it is true that there are children and parents who may benefit from therapy, it is also true that children whose parents can't afford therapy often don't receive it, or receive it in clogged pro bono-like centers where they're not very effective and they can't handle their caseloads. And we find too often these therapists that are part of the family court industrial complex work too closely with the attorneys that are court appointed for the children, begging the question why children need attorneys simply because their parents are involved in a divorce or a custody case. So we're going to continue to follow this with lots of the body cam footage, and we're going to explain the reality of what's happening in our family courts, the related criminal court cases, and how this can affect you when you're just out on the street in Campbell, California, or sending your children to therapy you're told will do something good for them.
We haven't even gotten that far.
The dispatcher's running it out, but they haven't found any.
So 2 counts of 245, 422, and then possession of
417 twice.
Yeah.
twice. Did he threaten her?
I think he told her to leave.
He
pointed
pointed at her.
But it was loaded and then he had a bunch of rounds.
Yeah, one in the chamber.
With
380.
I'll call Brian and give him a heads up and then have him send some bodies in.
As we take you through the federal lawsuit, it's clear that it's time that we start looking at the relationship between police officers, lawyers, family courts, and criminal courts, which is exactly what we're going to do in the upcoming videos.
Yeah.
And Andy went to jail.
Huh?
Andy went to jail.
Yeah, just to at least get him coming. So
I'll
that you guys
text
can
him
get
there right
some-
now.
Huh?
I'll text him right now.
Text me. Personal ticket.
It is big. Just tonight. What? He's on the shift.
Okay, I'll call Brian and just let me know.
Call him at court.
That's all I wanted to stop myself. That's all I wanted to do. I laid it down. I never put it up. I laid it down.
But you think he's got a warehouse somewhere too?
He told me where it was. He's being a little vague, but it's in San Jose. So
Is he gonna consent to the search?
probably. Yeah. Could go either way. I'm gonna say yes, but
I'm gonna send you. I'll send the bureau in anyway, just so you guys have the search team. So. Anything else right now?
You want me to see if Marsha has Weiss' phone number and all that?
his. I have. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's her. Well, I'm asking you.
Do you have his ex-wife's